music, a good old monster, can't go wrong with that. Woo. And some anime. Let's see what's on TV today.
Shouldn't I have a virgin?
But no, I don't want to kill her. On the contrary, I'm going to give her eternal life.
Living forever sounds cool, but scary at the same time. Why is there so much wind outside? What's with that? I really wonder what's going on outside, because that's ridiculous and crazy. What was that? No way. Rodolfo? Is that you? How have you been, buddy? It's been a while. Wait. Rodolfo, so you're telling me that Konami sent you on some crazy journey so I could play Castlevania the Dominus collection? I mean, that's crazy, but hey, if that's what gets me to turn into a vampire, I might as well do it, so let's do this. The Nintendo DS is probably Nintendo's most impressive handheld to date. It even has a more impressive library of games. Many well-established franchises like Legend of Zelda or Metroid were getting releases on here, taking advantage of its hardware, the touchscreen controls. It's why so many unique titles and experiences are forever stuck on here. So getting a modern-day port of any DS game is almost impossible. It's a hassle, it's lots of work. But Konami gave us just that in 2024.
Castlevania the Dominus collection, Dominus DS Get It, was announced on August 27th of 2024 during a Nintendo Direct and released on that exact day. This collection brought all three Castlevania DS games like Dawn of Sorrow, Portrait of Ruin, Order of Ecclesia, and more into one big package on modern consoles like the PS5, Nintendo Switch, Xbox Series consoles, and Windows.
Being a Castlevania fan, I was beyond hyped for this release. I never got to play these games before. Before the official release of this collection, each title was going for crazy amounts I was not willing to spend. And this isn't the first time Konami gave us an easy way to access older titles. They released the Anniversary Collection in 2019, giving us the original titles, and an Advanced Collection for the Game Boy Advance ports in 2021. I just wasn't expecting Konami to put so much effort into giving us a new release onto modern-day consoles. But they did just that and more. So, Konami hooked me up with a code to review this game and check it out, to give my personal opinion to all of you. So, let's get started!
The games are presented in a very nicely knit package, with each game on the beautiful menu showcasing its respective intro scene in full HD for the very first time. Upon further inspection, there's even a dedicated art gallery, where you can look at unreleased pieces of concept art, and a dedicated music playlist feature, where you can listen to the different game soundtracks in uncompressed high quality. Lastly, each game has a region toggle, where you can switch between languages and differences. All these little details make this collection a must-have for fans.
But let's focus on the games!
Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow is a direct sequel to the Game Boy Advance title Area of Sorrow. The game takes place 1 year after, and continues the story of Soma Cruz as he goes after a new cult in town who is creating monsters and beasts similar to what Dracula had. Soma Cruz can collect souls from defeated enemies and use their abilities for his own good. After collecting multiple of any soul, they can be upgraded or used to create new traits, sort of like the Shin Megami Tensei system. The game on its Nintendo DS release took advantage of the touchscreen, with each boss defeat requiring you to draw magic seals to capture their soul permanently. The Dominus collection does a nice job of taking those touchscreen controls and retweaking them, now using button prompts for a seamless transition. But if you miss those touchscreen controls for any reason, Konami still gives you an option to enjoy them, with options like the PS5 touchpad on your controller, the touchscreen on your Nintendo Switch, and a computer mouse on your PC. Castlevania Portrait of Ruin is a sequel to Castlevania Bloodlines on Sega Genesis. I mean, it took them a couple of years to release a follow-up, Taking place in 1944 during the European campaign in World War II, two childhood friends, vampire hunter Jonathan Morez and sorceress Charlotte Allen, are chasing down Bronner, who resurrected Dracula's castle to bring down humanity. This game features a tag team mechanic where both protagonists can switch between one another to solve puzzles, fight enemies, but also combine abilities to pull off one big and powerful move. Castlevania Order of Ecclesia is a more back to roots for the Castlevania franchise, using more of a dark and gothic style with its graphics and atmosphere. The game takes place after Symphony of the Night in the early 1800s. The Belmont clan has vanished, and many different organizations have created ways to counter the upcoming threat of Dracula. For one cult, the countermeasure is Sonoa, who is the human vessel for the Dominus, and with his power, is ready to take out Dracula for good. This game introduces the glyph system, where defeated foes can leave behind glyphs, and with the power of the Dominus, can absorb them for her own use. These abilities can be equipped to either hand and can even be used simultaneously, making the progression of the game feel fun and exciting.
You may naturally assume, since those were the three big games that were advertised, there's nothing more to this collection and it's over. But you're completely wrong. I previously mentioned that there's more to the collection. More than meets the eye.
There are two more included games, and one of them is entirely unique to this collection. Haunted Castle is Castlevania's arcade game, which was only released in Japan. This game is notorious for how difficult and unforgiving it could be, with the most random obstacles and scenarios appearing out of the blue to make you spend more game tokens at your local arcade.
Sure, this game may be a little too difficult, not being up to today's standards, unless you like the pain, maybe pleasure, but that's where developers M2 stepped in, creators of the WiiWare title Castlevania The Adventure Rebirth.
M2 remade and recreated this game from scratch, improving the game's sprites and performance to be more in tune with today's gamers. The game, now titled Haunted Castle Revisited, plays ever so smoothly and is actually way more enjoyable. I could see myself putting so many hours into this with how addicting the gameplay can be.
Despite all the good the collection does in keeping the originality and integrity of these games, not all of its features are kept intact or preserved. So I want to focus on all the features that are removed, because some reviewers have not checked them out.
Each Castlevania Nintendo DS game has a dedicated multiplayer mode of sorts that is still stuck on its older hardware. Dawn of Sorrow had a multiplayer versus mode where one player created a section of the castle complete with his enemies, and both players raced to reach the end of the level. Players were also able to trade souls they found in the game as well to help one another. This could only be done locally with multiple copies of the game, no online functionality.
In Dawn of Sorrow, if you owned a copy of the previous entry, Area of Sorrow, and inserted that Game Boy Advance game on your Game Boy Advance slot on your DS, you were able to unlock a rare ring accessory that could be used in the game. That accessory could be obtained later, but if you owned a copy, you could unlock it early and progress further in the game. That's a very unique feature we just missed out on this collection.
Portrait of Ruin, meanwhile, is the first game in the series to have a quote-unquote online game mode. That mode is Boss Rush, where two players playing as either Jonathan or Charlotte can work together to defeat bosses as quickly as possible to get a high score to appear on the global leaderboards. Aside from this mode, there's a unique shop mode as well, where players can trade, sell, or purchase items online with other people, making the Castlevania community feel more connected. Meanwhile, Order of Ecclesia does not include a boss rush mode, or create a castle type mode that Dawn of Sorrow had, though it takes elements from the game to create something similar, a race mode, where players can race against one another through a stage filled with enemies to achieve victorious. This game does have a shop mode as well, like Portrait of Ruin. All of this can still be played locally if you're interested, but the online portion all got shut down on May 20th of 2014.
But there's one feature, and that feature alone made me go out of my way to pick up a copy of Castlevania Order of Ecclesia despite owning the collection, and despite it going for $70, I just had to showcase it to all of you. So let's go pick up our copy.
So we got our game right here. In this box, we have Castlevania Order of Ecclesia. This is an original copy. This is a copy that came out in 2008. Everything is here, thankfully. And this version has a feature that's locked on here. It's still stuck, but to use this feature, you actually need one more game I reviewed a couple years ago. Castlevania Judgment on Wii. These two games have connectivity and unlock features for one another, and I always wanted to check it out. So we have our game loaded up on both. We have Order of Ecclesia right here and Judgment. Connect to DS. As you can see, this is wireless connect to a Nintendo DS and unlock special bonuses. So we have to start that up. So now that we have the Wii version loaded up on our DS, a Wii option is now open. You have to click that. We'll choose one of the random files on here. Supposedly the best version is the Steve guy. Thank you, Steve. We're gonna do connect to Wii, HTOR on Wii, connect to Nintendo DS, connect it, waiting for a response from DS. I'm gonna start it, data transfer complete. So on the Wii, we have communication complete, waiting for Nintendo DS to connect. We're done with that, data's been saved. Returning to the title screen. On the Wii version, we have the Skull Spider accessory unlocked, the Wings of Darkness accessory, the character Shanoa, which was exclusive if you had the DS version, otherwise you had to unlock it through normal gameplay, and that's really far later in the story. And Shanoa's story unlocked already, her voice data, and the character Aeon. And on the actual DS, we have a bonus feature has unlocked. We have a limit for this level has been raised. So now in the main game, we have our limits, our level increased, so we can now do more things in this version. I think that's really cool. Otherwise, I think you just have to manually just play the game and increase things over time, which always takes a little while. These cut features and modes may not be anything too crazy, but at the very least it's important to acknowledge and give them recognition for the things it did do right.
So as you can all see, Castlevania Dominus collection is most definitely worth a purchase. It only goes for around $24.99 USD across all the digital platforms, so it's a steal. It's a blessing for game preservation, and on top of that for newer fans of the franchise who want to check out these games, these unique titles in easier ways. So, I hope Konami will continue to port other forgotten titles in their vault. For example, the 3D Castlevania games, which in my honest opinion, deserve some more love. On top of that, I think the franchise is still long overdue for a new entry. So come on Konami, get on it. Well, I completed Dominus collection, I reviewed it, and Rodolfo promised me immortality, so let's commence the VAMP Ritual. So Rodolfo, what exactly are all these candles and skulls gonna do? I don't think they help us with our purpose. Let's start this process. I want to become a vampire.
Bro, what the heck are you doing?
Bro, Rodolfo said you can turn us to a vampire!
Bro, you is old!
You just don't get what we have! You just don't get it! This is for YouTube! For YouTube!